Imagine a voice that does not speak to the crowd but to your inner silence. A whisper that questions what you have always taken for granted. What if reality is only a shadow? What if love is not possession, but transcendence? What if truth is a poison, painful but liberating? Today we will walk through Plato's dialogues not as students but as accomplices. This is not a lesson. It is a challenge to your very core, an invitation to dismantle the comfortable illusions that structure your daily existence and to embark on the most perilous of journeys, the quest for true knowledge. Imagine for a moment that everything you believe to be real is only a shadow, a distorted projection. How would you discover it? Who would you become if one day the walls of your world cracked open and revealed a light too intense to deny? Plato did not ask to be believed. He invited us to doubt. And doubt is the first step toward awakening from the slumber of unquestioned assumptions. This foundational skepticism is the engine of all philosophical inquiry, pushing us beyond the familiar into the realm of genuine understanding, where every certainty must be earned, not inherited. Plato's voice echoes through centuries not as doctrine, but as provocation. He did not offer answers, he offered wounds. His questions sting because they dismantle certainties we hold dear. What is justice? What is beauty? What is love? His dialogues are not calm waters. They are storms, where the mind learns to sail by losing its false anchors. This method, the Socratic elenchus, is designed not to build systems of thought but to tear down intellectual vanity, leaving the interlocutor and the reader in a state of productive perplexity, the necessary precursor to all wisdom. In the Apology of Socrates, we meet a man condemned not for crime but for thinking differently. Socrates stood before judges and refused to betray his inner voice, his daimonion. He preferred death over silence, embodying the ultimate sacrifice for intellectual integrity. From him, we inherit a dangerous teaching. A life without examination is not worth living. This maxim is not a gentle suggestion, but a fierce ultimatum. Would you endure the weight of such a truth, even if it meant social isolation or confronting uncomfortable truths about your own life and society? Philosophy for Plato is not entertainment. It is poison. It corrodes illusions, devours comforts, and leaves you naked before what is real. But like every venom, it also cures. It cleanses the soul of lies and opens the path to freedom through a painful but necessary catharsis. The question is, how much are you willing to lose? Your preconceptions, your prejudices, your comfortable ignorance, in order to awaken to a more authentic existence? This transformative suffering is the price of admission to a life of genuine meaning. The allegory of the cave is not a myth to be memorized. It is a mirror for our contemporary condition. Imagine prisoners chained, forced to watch only shadows on the wall. To them, the shadows are reality. But if one escapes and sees the light, he will never again be the same. The cave is not ancient. It is here today, disguised as normality, as the endless stream of curated content and manufactured consensus that defines so much of modern life. Do you have the courage to question your own chains? We are the prisoners of the cave when we accept appearances as truth. The news we consume, the opinions we repeat, the desires injected into us by others through advertising and social pressure. To awaken is to risk leaving the shadows, even if the light of truth burns at first, causing disorientation and critique from those who remain behind. Freedom is not comfortable, but slavery, however soft, however disguised as convenience and belonging, is still a chain that limits the full potential of the human spirit. Plato taught that truth wounds before it liberates. The eyes ache when exposed to sunlight after darkness. The soul resists clarity after years of illusion, clinging to the familiar gloom. That is why so few leave the cave. It is easier to remain deceived than to endure the pain of awakening and the subsequent alienation from the group. And you, would you have the courage to see, even if it cost you your peace, your relationships, or your place in the world you once knew? The path to enlightenment is often a lonely one. For Plato, Love was not mere attraction or possession. It was a ladder to eternity, a profound force of ascent. In the Symposium, he describes eros through diatima as a dynamic force that elevates us, from the desire for a single beautiful body to the contemplation of beauty in laws and institutions, and finally to the absolute form of beauty itself. To love is to ascend spiritually, to find, in the other, not an object to own, but a glimpse of the divine and a catalyst for your own spiritual evolution. To Plato, love begins in the body, but cannot remain there without betraying its higher purpose. It climbs toward the essence of being. From one beautiful form, the soul learns to see beauty in all forms, recognizing the universal in the particular, and beyond forms, in truth itself. Love is not imprisonment, but liberation from the petty self. Those who truly love do not hold, they free. They inspire and they participate in the eternal through the act of creative contemplation and shared pursuit of the good. Philosophy, then, is not an escape from life, but its most radical intensification. It is drinking from the source of reality and refusing the diluted waters of opinion and hearsay. It is confronting the chaos of existence with courage and reason, even when it hurts, even when it dismantles your worldview. Philosophy is not a luxury for the elite. It is survival for those who do not accept living anesthetized, who demand to experience life in its fullest, most raw and authentic expression. Plato's dialogues are not finished. They are open-ended traps for the mind. Each page ends with an abyss of further questioning. Each argument breaks in half, revealing its own limitations. That is intentional. The philosopher does not feed you answers. He teaches you to hunger for them, to feel the emptiness of false certainty and the urgent vital need for relentless questioning. The rest depends on you, on your willingness to engage in the dialogue yourself and continue the search, long after you have closed the book. Have you noticed how every answer in Plato is followed by a greater, more profound question? That is the intentional spiral of philosophy, designed to elevate the mind gradually. Truth is not a static destination to be reached. It is a dynamic movement, an endless process of refinement. The wise man does not own knowledge. He dances with it, adapting and learning. The ignorant one, in contrast, clings rigidly to certainties. Who are you in this dance? A flexible partner or a rigid spectator? Plato reminds us that justice is not merely written law, but the inner harmony of the soul. That beauty is not a superficial ornament, but the presence of the eternal in the fleeting. That politics is not the pursuit of power, but the art of caring for the soul of the city. Everything he wrote was a rebellion against the mediocrity of unexamined living. And this mediocrity still reigns today, in our obsession with image over substance and distraction over depth. The challenge remains utterly contemporary. The philosopher is not a serene sage sitting on a pedestal detached from the world. He is a restless soul, perpetually uneasy, one who feels the discomfort of the world, its injustices and falsehoods as an open wound that will not heal. To philosophize is to refuse to sleepwalk through life. It is to suffer with the lies that surround us and to thirst for the truth even when it burns, because the pain of truth is preferable to the comfort of a delusion. Plato was not naive about human nature. He knew that most people do not want to awaken. They actively resist it. They prefer comfort over truth, entertainment over reflection, pleasant illusions over difficult freedom. That is why Socrates was condemned by the Athenian democracy. That is why philosophy is still feared and marginalized today, because it threatens the fragile, consensus-based order of appearances that hold society together, demanding instead a foundation of rigorous reason and virtue. And yet, even in the face of death, Socrates smiled. Why? Because he possessed a profound knowledge. The body may die, but the soul that has truly awakens to truth and virtue cannot return to sleep. That awakened state is a form of immortality, not of the flesh, but of the spirit and its achievements. To awaken once is to live forever in the light of truth, and your example can inspire others for millennia, long after your physical form has returned to dust. What if today you chose to question everything, your deepest beliefs, your daily habits, your most cherished desires. What if you dared to ask, who planted these ideas in me? Are they truly mine, born of my own reasoning? Or am I still chained in some cave, mistaking borrowed thoughts for my own? Awakening begins in a state of healthy suspicion towards your own mind, and this self-directed suspicion is the most revolutionary act, the first step to autonomy. Plato teaches that knowledge is not acquisition, but remembrance, anamnesis. He proposed that the truth is already latent within our immortal souls, waiting to be recalled through dialectic and inquiry. To learn is to remember what the soul once knew before birth. To awaken is to rediscover this innate knowledge. What if wisdom were not an external trophy to be won, but a hidden treasure buried deep within your own soul, requiring only the right questions to unearth it? Philosophy is not useful in the conventional pragmatic sense. It does not teach you to earn money, climb corporate ladders, or optimize your social media profile. It teaches you something far more radical: how to live a meaningful life. To live without masks, without illusions, without the slavery of unchallenged desires. And that is precisely what makes it dangerous to the status quo. It produces individuals who cannot be easily managed or marketed to, who value inner freedom above external validation. Plato's dialogues are venomous gifts. They disturb your peace of mind. They unsettle your core beliefs. They awaken a hunger that cannot be satisfied by mundane achievements. If you read them and remain fundamentally the same, you have not truly read them. They are not texts for comfort, but blueprints for personal transformation. They are not for decorative display on a shelf, but for starting an inner fire that consumes the false and refines the true. Handle with care. Merely reading these words is not enough. They only come alive when they pass through you, when you wrestle with them. Every question posed here is a mirror held up to your own life, not an intellectual ornament. They are invitations to break the automatic cycle of thought and reflect deeply. Philosophy does not want passive spectators. It demands active accomplices in the pursuit of truth. True dialogue begins when you dare to respond, not to me, but to yourself. So ask yourself, what within you is no longer the same? Living philosophy is not about collecting dusty theories. It is about interaction, a constant practice. It is suspecting the obvious, doubting the senses, and dissolving fragile certainties with the acid of reason. Thinking is dangerous because it destabilizes your worldview and can isolate you. But it is also the ultimate liberation, for it opens a space for something new, authentic, and truly your own to emerge. Awakening demands the courage to endure the initial discomfort of truth. Plato did not want obedient devotees who parroted his phrases. He sought companions on a shared quest for truth, people willing to drink the same philosophical poison and walk through the world with renewed eyes, seeing beyond the veil of appearances. Philosophy does not create followers. It forges fellow travelers bound by a shared hunger for understanding. Have you ever found someone who shares this profound hunger? And more importantly, do you recognize in yourself the boldness to think differently? Do not mistake this discourse for comfort. It is a solemn warning. Awakening is often lonely, unstable, and psychologically painful. You may outgrow relationships and find common conversations hollow, but it is also the only way to live authentically, outside the illusions that sweeten the prison of ignorance. Raw reality can wound, but comfortable lies only soothe you into decay. Would you accept losing the warmth of the familiar shadows in exchange for the bracing freedom of walking in the light? The choice is yours. Today, the masters of shadows do not use torches but screens and algorithms. The caves are not made of stone, but are digital ecosystems designed for engagement. Algorithms shape our desires and beliefs, offering quick pleasure and endless distraction, tailoring our reality until it becomes a perfect, inescapable echo chamber. Each click may be an invisible chain, tightening without your awareness. Escaping these modern, comfortable prisons may be more urgent and more difficult than it was in classical Athens itself. What is the specific shadow that imprisons you the most? Perhaps it is a secure job that systematically kills your soul and creativity. A relationship that comforts but suffocates your growth. A political or religious belief that protects you from ambiguity but limits your compassion. All genuine freedom begins with the courageous act of recognizing one's own prison. Without this honest first step, there can be no awakening. What would your chain be? And would you have the courage to name it and face it directly? What if love were not about possession but revelation? Not the will to hold and control, but the ability to see in the other a divine spark, a reflection of the good. To love would be to ascend a ladder. Each genuine human encounter would raise us toward the eternal, teaching us to appreciate beauty in its universal form. In such love, we do not seek to keep, but to transcend ourselves. How would your way of loving change if you saw the other as a portal to the infinite? Plato offers the map, the philosophical coordinates, but he does not walk the path for you. Philosophy is a verb, an action. It is movement, not a static theory to be mastered. To transmute the soul requires daily practice, intellectual discipline, and moral courage. Understanding a concept is not enough. One must live it, embody it. Ask yourself, tomorrow, what one concrete thing will change in your life after these reflections? Without action, all philosophy becomes mere wind, words without transformative power. This text is not a monologue delivered from on high, but the beginning of a dialogue. And true dialectic only exists when there is a response, a counter-argument, a shared exploration. So I extend the invitation. Which idea here disturbed you the most? Which one liberated you? Engage with it. Your reflection, your shared doubt, may be the spark that lights the flame for someone else still trapped in their shadows. The philosophical poison is only complete and effective when it is shared and discussed. In the end, everything comes down to an intimate, solitary decision. To remain in the cave, protected by the known and the familiar, or to drink the philosophical poison that heals by first wounding, and face the blinding, liberating light of truth. No one can make this choice. For you, it has always been yours. In every moment you choose inquiry over assumption, and it always will be. If this philosophical journey resonated with you and you wish to continue, free your mind once and for all. Subscribe to Free Mind and prepare for the next revelation. The path continues.